Hey guys, it's Sarah, and today is BookList Thursday. This is a video series I do with my friend Lindsay over at Lindsay's Little Library. And every Thursday we bring you some sort of list or book topic that we feel like talking about for the week. And this week / this month, for the month of May, we're going to do a little series of must-reads. So it's going to be book recommendations for the rest of May. And we thought this would just be fun. We're going to tackle some different categories, genres, all that good stuff. And we're going to start out with books that we feel are must-reads that are available through Book of the Month. No, this is not sponsored, but we both subscribe to Book of the Month. And so we thought it'd be fun to just kind of share some of the books that we have gotten from the service and that we have really loved and enjoyed, and just some things that are available that you can enjoy as well. And they are hardbacks, discounted. Can't go wrong. So for Book of the Month, not only, are there new books every single month, but they have a ton of backlist books that you can just shop from their backlist. So when you are a member and you get your book for the month, then you can also pick some add-ons and you can pick from their entire inventory. It doesn't have to just be from the current picks. So it's really nice because if you ever wanted to kind of grab something older that you never did, you can go ahead and grab it there for, like a really good price. So these are some of the books that I have gotten from Book of the Month that have become favorites of mine. So I naturally have to start out with The Invisible Life of Addie, LaRue by V.E. Schwab. I adore this book. This is one of my all-time favorite books. I absolutely love it. I recommend it to everybody all the time. It doesn't matter who you are. I'm recommending this book. Now, this is a fantasy book that follows a girl named Addie LaRue. And we start out with her, and she is living in France in the 1700s, I believe. And she's in a situation where she is being forced into marriage to somebody that she does not want to be married to. And she's desperate. She wants to get out of this, but she doesn't know how. And she ends up calling on whatever God is listening to help get her out of this situation. And one of those gods answers her and takes her up on her plea. But there is obviously a price for granting this wish. And the price ends up being that Addie is basically going to be immortal, but everybody in her life that she comes into contact with is not going to remember her. So she spends her entire life, immortal life, and you see her over centuries and nobody remembers her. And I'm talking like she could sit and be having a conversation with someone at a table. As she gets up to go to the bathroom and comes back, they don't know who she is. They completely forget that they had any type of interaction with her at all. And you see that happening throughout her whole life. So she cannot be in a romantic relationship longer than one night. And God forbid you get up and go to the bathroom or, get up and go do something, because they're not going to remember you when you come back. She doesn't have any friends. She doesn't have any family. She is really, really lonely. And she spends her whole life like that. She has learned to adjust. She has learned to know what to expect from all of these interactions and everything. So she's adjusting. But there is a timeline in today's world time frame where someone does remember her. And the question becomes, why? What is special about you that you can actually remember me? So I loved it. I thought it was beautiful, and I highly recommend it. The second one is kind of a twofer. So we're going to talk about Abby Jimenez. I got Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez last year from Book of the Month, and it was one of my favorite books of the year. I loved it. It's one of my favorite romance books. The companion novel, Yours Truly, is a current pick for the month of May. I did not get it from Book of the Month because it came out in April and I had already purchased it. So I missed out on that, but they are both available on Book of the Month if this is something that you're interested in. So these are adult romance books. Part of Your World is following a woman who is an ER doctor, and the hospital that she works at is owned by her family. And it's kind of her family's a big deal in this Minneapolis area. So she lives a very high-strung, very stressful, very fast-paced life. She ends up needing help on the side of a highway outside of town, and someone stops and helps her. He is from a very small town where he is very well known. You know, it's like one of those everybody knows everybody type things. He's even considered the mayor without being officially the mayor of this town. So very opposite. So very small town, close-knit, loves it, would never leave, all that kind of stuff. And they end up having a fun night together, the night that he helps her out. And from there, you see their relationship start to kind of grow a little bit, even though they are both trying to fight it because they're from very different worlds. And so you see them kind of navigate this, and you're seeing what she is dealing with in her life, which she's having a hard time with, and you're seeing what he's dealing with as well. He's dealing with some stuff as well. So you kind of see them deal with their own things on their own and then see them come together and all that kind of stuff. I absolutely loved it. It was fantastic. It is steamy. It's funny. It's great. The companion novel follows one of the characters, one of the side characters from Part of Your World as well. Loved it also. So both of them are fantastic, and they are both available on Book of the Month. Okay, let's talk about Riley Sager, because every single one of his books is available. Every single one. My personal favorite is Home Before Dark. That's a tie with Final Girls, but Home Before Dark, I think, has much more mass appeal. So Home Before Dark follows a woman who grew up in kind of a spotlight. Her father is an author, and he wrote a book that is based on some time that they spent in a home that they bought, which he claims was haunted, and that they had encounters with really weird paranormal things in this house to the point where they were fleeing from the house in the middle of the night. She was young enough that she doesn't remember any of this. And she also doesn't believe him. But he spends his whole life, you know, backing up this book and saying this actually happened and, you know, all that stuff. So he ends up passing away and leaves that house to her in his will because he never sold the house. So now it's her responsibility. So she is a house flipper by trade, and she goes up to this house to confront it and to say, you know what, I'm just going to flip this thing. I'm going to sell it. I'm going to make some money, and I'm going to have this house out of my life for good. So that's her plan. And while she's there, she is starting to make some updates and, you know, renovations and doing all that stuff. And she hires help and starts going through all the motions, and then things start happening that she can't explain. And now she's questioning whether or not her father was right. So I loved it. I mean, you talk about twists and turns. Oh man. This also has a book within a book aspect, because you are seeing the book that he wrote, but the way that it's written, it feels like you're just reading a past timeline. So it was really cool the way that it was done. So you're getting the past timeline, but you're getting it in a book form, and it was really neat. So I thought that was very unique. Okay, next one is another one that was one of my favorites of last year, and that's Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Garmis. Loved this book. This was also the book of the year for Barnes & Noble last year, which was great, and it's available on Book of the Month. This one follows a woman who is a scientist, and she is a scientist in the late 50s, early 60s, which is not a popular time for women to be in the workforce of any kind. And you definitely see that happening in this book. You see her working in a male-dominated area. She is walking around in her lab coat, and they still mistake her for a secretary. And she's like, hello. And here's the thing about her. She does not take anyone's crap. She's a very strong woman. She is not putting up with any of it. And she gives it right back to them. She has no problem putting men in their place. It's not one of those things where she's trying to conform and she's not a people pleaser. She's a scientist. She is technical. She's like, no, what are you talking about? I love her. And you see her build a connection with one of her coworkers, and you see them form a relationship, and some things start happening. I won't say exactly what, but she ends up finding a very unique place in the workforce. It's really, really cool. So I really liked the way that her career path took her, and the encouragement and empowerment that I gave to women. It was fantastic. So I thought it was great, but high recommend. And the last one is another one of my favorite romances, and that is Beach Read by Emily Henry. I got this one from Book of the Month when I first read it, and I absolutely love this book. This one follows two authors, actually, and they are both kind of in writing slumps. And so they decide to take some time away, and they are actually end up staying next door to each other on this lake. However, they are rivals, kind of. They know each other. They've had past run-ins, but they didn't get along. Like, they kind of can't stand each other. And now here they are, both in writing slumps, both needing to get away to get some inspiration and kind of work on their deadlines. And they also write very differently. So she writes, romance books. He writes literary fiction. And they end up noticing that, hey, we're staying next to each other for a few weeks or whatever. And they get to talking and realizing that they're in the same situations. And so to kind of spice things up a little bit, they decide to write in each other's genre. Like, let's switch genres, see if it can kind of spark some ideas for us and all that. And so they go into the research with each other as well. So she lets him know how she does her research and kind of walks him through that. And he does the same for her. And so they're going on these outings and doing all these things, experiencing stuff, and of course some feelings start to pop up between them. It was so good, and the banter between these two is one of my favorite things ever. I absolutely love it. Of all of Emily Henry's adult romance, this one's my favorite, and I just absolutely loved it. It was great. Perfect summer read. Okay, guys, that's going to be it for me. So these are 5 books that I highly recommend all the time. They are some of my favorites, and they are all available on Book of the Month. So if you are a subscriber, you can very easily add one of these onto your next box. If you're not a subscriber yet, but you've thought about it, I do have a link down below. You can check it out and see what you think. And you can get your first box for a little bit of a discount as well if you use that link. So it's a lot of fun. All right. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Please go check out Lindsay's video today as well and see which books that she is recommending that are available through Book of the Month. And we will see you guys again soon. Have a great day. Bye.